Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome in general. My name is Jessica Ward King, also known as the StigmaCrusher. Today I want to talk about mental health days. This has become increasingly a topic for discussion in the news, in the media. People are discussing the merits of mental health days. What do you do on a mental health day? And so I wanted to talk about my own personal experience with them. And the reason this comes up now is because last week, actually, I took two mental health days. It's been a rough few weeks, and my mental health has been slipping. And in fact, my mental illness is starting to creep up a little bit again. Symptoms of depression are creeping in. And work was particularly difficult last week. As many of you know, my grandmother passed away last week, and I'm getting ready for a vacation, which you would think would be a super relaxing thing, but anybody who's gotten ready for a vacation knows that the getting ready part is not particularly relaxing. So there's been a lot of stress, and stress in and of itself isn't a bad thing, right? Stress isn't in and of itself. We all get stressed out. We all have stressful lives, stressful jobs, stressful home lives. And there are different kinds of stress, right? There's eustress, which is like good stress, this kind of stress that energizes you, that pushes you forward, that gets you the adrenaline going in a good way, like gets you fired up for something, gets you excited for something. But then there's also distress, right? Which is that more negative stress. And when the stress in your life turns from kind of this chronic form of eustress, of getting you energized and moving you forward and getting you up and out of bed and doing things, but instead the timbre of that, or like the kind of the color of that stress turns and starts to become distress, starts to become something that is taxing on your mental health, that is sucking away your energy, that is making you want to avoid things, that is making you not want to get out of bed, that is making you not want to do all of the things that you need to do to keep your life moving forward. That's when the mental health starts to suffer. And remember, anyone that's been here a while knows that for me at least, mental health and mental illness are on two different axes, right? So mental health is something everybody has, and it can go from really, really great to really, really bad and everywhere in between, and it moves along as things in your life happen, as stressors happen, etc. And so anybody's mental health can start to, move down the line, can start to suffer because of distress. Mental illness is a different axis. Some people have it, some people don't. And mental illness can either be at a good place, or where you're not really experiencing symptoms of mental illness, or a bad place where the symptoms are starting to creep in. And so for me, I've kind of starting to converge. I'm starting to get to a place where my mental illness is getting a little bit worse and my mental health is getting worse. And when that happens, sometimes what we want to do is try to abort that slippage, try to stop you from going from good mental health to poor mental health, from decent mental illness symptoms to poor experience of mental illness. And so in order to stop that, sometimes you really just need to interrupt it, right? And so the theory, and it's the same theory with physical illness, really. When you start feeling yourself start getting run down, maybe, I had the experience this past week of getting both my COVID booster and my influenza shot for this year. And it didn't hit me, but it did hit my wife, where, she started to feel a little bit run down, a little bit fatigued, maybe a little stuffy, and doesn't want to get sick. And so sometimes the antidote to that can just be some rest, drink lots of fluids, take it a little bit easy. And the same thing holds true for mental health. Sometimes the antidote to actually getting ill, or to, feeling more poorly, is really just to give yourself a little bit of a break, a little bit of an interruption, take care of yourself a little bit, baby yourself a little bit. And now I think where we get into calling it a mental health day is because in the past, what the kind of the prevailing wisdom has been, if you're stressed out, well, everybody's stressed out, just deal with it. And just push through, keep going, keep doing. Don't take a break, because sometimes folks will say, well, if you take a break from work, you'll just go back to more emails. If you take a break from housework, the laundry will just pile up and the dishes will pile up. And how's that helping anything? But really, sometimes you do just need to take a day or two to baby yourself a little bit. And so we're calling these mental health days because in the past, people could really understand if you were taking a day because you were sneezing, coughing, had a fever, runny nose, nausea, whatever. But if you were stressed out, it was just like, well, can't you handle the stress? And people are now starting to realize that actually it's helpful to interrupt that pattern of stress, to give yourself a stress-free day or two, maybe an extra long weekend by taking a Friday or a Monday off or whatever the case may be, and just giving yourself a few days to rest. So what does it look like? We know what it looks like when you rest physically. You actually may literally lay down. You may Netflix and chill. You may have some soup or some tea or whatever the case is, read a book. What does it look like to have a mental health day? Is it the same thing? Do you have to be literally laying in bed in order to say to your boss or to yourself, I need a mental health day? And my answer to that is no. So for me, a mental health day is doing something that recharges and replenishes me. And if you saw my video, I think it was about a month ago now, that kind of just resting and recharging are not the same thing. And I used at that point the analogy of a phone. If the phone is running out of battery, you're on, let's say, 7%, just turning the phone off, resting it, does not recharge it. You have to actually plug it in. You have to actually, give it extra energy, give it extra power to recharge the battery. And the same thing is true for mental health and for a mental health day. If resting, if laying in bed and reading a book and Netflix and chill and whatnot is something that recharges your battery, that's fantastic. That's what you should do on a mental health day. For me, I can tell you what I did on my mental health day. So I did take some time to have my coffee, to kind of lay on the couch. I watched some Star Trek because, I'm a bit of a fan. I did some crafts, some sewing. And then I was like, you know what? I need to get out. I love thrift shopping, And so I thought, like my symptoms of depression are starting to come back. I'm not really enjoying things like I have been, like I feel like I should be. Maybe if I go do something that I generally speaking like to do, that will kind of kickstart my mental health to get better, my mental illness to not go down so much. So I went thrift shopping last Tuesday. So with the combination of some Star Trek in the morning, some thrift shopping in the afternoon, got myself a nice coffee from an unnamed coffee chain that I love, and just generally treated myself to things that I wouldn't necessarily normally have the time or the space to do, things that I wouldn't necessarily do for myself. And so that was, I'm not going to say that fixed the problem. It didn't. Yes, the next day when I went back to work, there were more emails and there was more laundry piled up, and I hadn't done the dishes, so there were dishes on the counter. And so the next day, the stress was still there. It's not like I got away from it. It's not like I got rid of it. I was able to get away from it for a day. And for that day, I got to just kind of blow off a little bit of steam. It's not a salve for all wounds. And then I found myself on Friday needing some time again. Stress was right back up. And I thought, if I maybe just get a few more days of rest, perhaps that's going to help me be able to rebound, be able to be more resilient. And so I did that. And again, I did some things that I enjoyed. I didn't have to, it wasn't like I wasn't physically able to sit in front of my computer and work. I was. You don't have to be physically unable to do it in order to take a mental health day, right? And that's part of what we really need to change in terms of the thinking around taking a day off. It's not weakness to take a day to take care of yourself. It's not irresponsible. It's not that you're not committed to your work or committed to your home life or your family if you're taking a day to take care of yourself. So that's really, for me, what the mental health day is for, and what it looks like. And it could look very different for you. It could look like getting some errands done or some chores on things that are on your to-do list that you haven't been able to get to. That may be what it looks like for you. And I did a little bit of that as well. There were things I had to get in preparation for the trip, and that felt good to get those off my list. And some of the stress of the trip went down with that. And so, there's a combination of things that you can do to help reduce your stress, even if it's just for a day, that might kind of help take the pressure off and give you that energy, that resilience to rebound and to take the stress that you're having and move it from distress back into eustress and use it for good, for, to improve your energy. But as I say, a mental health day doesn't heal everything. Sometimes you'll take the days, you'll find that you actually do feel quite a lot better on those days when you are taking a break. And that may lead to you taking a bit of a longer break, taking a leave of absence from your work or getting some help in the house. And that's okay too. Sometimes even when we're physically ill, we find, oh, wow, I feel so much better when I'm resting. Maybe I need to take a few more days to rest. And that's okay too. It can be an indicator of what you need to do to take care of yourself. So I'm really interested in hearing from you. Have you ever taken a mental health day? What did you do on your mental health day? Did you feel guilty for doing it? That's kind of the kicker. Do you take a mental health day and then spend the entire day feeling guilty for taking a day to take care of yourself? And so what do you do about that? For me, I do. I am one of those people. I'm like, if I'm not at work, I should be dead. But I'm learning to not feel guilty, because if I can stop the descent into poor mental health and poor mental illness, I'm a lot more used to people and to myself, and my life is a lot better than if I drive myself into the ground and then say, oh, now I need like a month off or 2 months off. A lot better if we can stay healthy than if we spend our time trying to get well once we've become ill, right? And that's where I think our society does really need to change the way it's thinking. And this is one of those cases where I think COVID has helped a little bit, because it used to be, I don't know, well, maybe not for you guys, but it used to be for me in my workplace, like you could come in coughing, sneezing, like unless you literally had a fever or were dying, you could still come into the office. And if you didn't, people are like, oh, so-and-so stayed home for the sniffles. Well, lucky them that they can stay home for the sniffles. And it used to be almost a badge of pride, right? If you were able to work through it, if you were able to continue working even though you were ill. And then COVID came and it was like, well, no, if you have even the remotest sniffle, you stay home. You stay away from everybody. Don't leave your house. Don't go anywhere. Don't go into the grocery store. Nowhere. You stay home. And so people are starting to get the idea that you don't want to infect other people, right? And while mental health and mental illness aren't infectious, you can use the same logic of, stay home, take care of yourself, do what you can do to be well so that you can be back at work, back in life, back doing what you want to be doing sooner, so that you can get well sooner. Don't run yourself into the ground and wait until you're really, really ill. Get well sooner by taking care of yourself and, stay home and do what you need to do. And I think if we really do take that tack on mental health as well, that can be really, really helpful. And I'm starting to see that more and more in society. Of course, there's still kind of the whole, are you committed to your work? Are you committed to your home life? If you're taking a day off to do something for yourself, we need to change that narrative. So that's what I wanted to reflect on today. As of now, my mental health days helped me in reducing some of my stress. They haven't solved the problem entirely, right? And so that is going to be one of the arguments for me taking vacation, is that maybe I need a little bit more time away from the responsibilities that are causing me stress. Maybe I need a little bit of more time to take for myself. And that's what vacation is good for, right? So that's where I'm at with my mental health days. Wish me luck, because as I say, and I'll update this you guys on this in the coming weeks, but as I say, I can feel the depression symptoms creeping up on me. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not enjoying things. I'm emotionally numb, those kinds of things. And so I'm trying to stop that as well, using medication and using all the techniques and the strategies that I know. So I'll update you on how that's going, but wish me luck. And yeah, let me know what you do on your mental health days, how you feel about mental health days, how you feel about calling them mental health days. And I will see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.
StigmaCrusher.